everyone, it's Robin, the Artsy Bohemian, coming to you from my studio in Los Angeles, California. So today I am going to show you a step-by-step of my last project because I had enough of you say you liked it and that you wanted to show how I decorated it. And I'm excited because I'm going to be doing it in a different color palette, obviously. This is what I kind of gathered, and the color palette's going to be. This is how the other one looked, and you can tell it's extremely bright. But I'm really excited that you wanted me to show you because it gives me a chance to play with another color palette. So these are the things I thought you might want to gather or similar. It's kind of what I do when I teach my classes too. I gather everything I think I'll need. Of course, I'm not going to use everything probably, but what it does is it gives you focus. It kind of zooms all of your attention into the theme and the color that you're going to be playing with. So here is the blank of what we made last week, and it is, if you didn't see what I did and you want to follow along, then I'll leave a link down below for that. And it has all the measurements, and it's made with one file folder. So you're going to want that. And then I gathered these are some of the fibers that I had dyed with the rust. I'll leave a link down below for that video. I also put together some things in this basket, but my camera's too close to show it. And it's just more fun, you know, cream colored, ivory colored laces and doilies and things that I think I'll be using. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually cover all of the pieces, pretty much all of them, with thin pieces of lace like this. But before I do that, I'm going to distress them a little with some inks. So get some of your favorite inks out. And I gathered some of my buttons. These are buttons that are glass buttons and some mother of pearl elements and buttons. So I might use some of those. And then some different papers to cover some of the pockets and the little inserts that we might be adding. And of course, like I said, it's not going to be, it might not be any of this, but this kind of gives me a jumping off point. These are super cute. I just found this when I was looking around at stuff. These are from alphastamps.com. It's one of my go-to sites that I love, and these are called Little Darlings. So those are super cute little kids that you can use. And you know, whatever color palette you're going to use, just, you know, use what you want to use. But I thought I would just kind of show you how I gather things so that whenever I do a video, this is kind of what I do. I'll gather the things that I want, and I'll usually have it off camera so you can't see it. But I just thought it looked so pretty together that I would show you. Here's some little rusty safety pins, and I'm going to use some Hug Snug. This is the oatmeal color. And I'll leave a link down below for those of you who are new and don't know what this is. You can get this on Etsy, and a lot of crafters use this. So we'll go ahead and start. We're going to start by distressing the manila file folders. And I am going to grab my paper, and I'm going to use some scratch paper down here. Also, you might want to use some Scrapple tiles if you, who knows, we might use those too. Not sure. So these are the colors I like to use. Some different types of brown inks, mustard color, and then this is a kind of a grayish taupe mushroom. And I am going to use my sponge. Just going to do a mix. It's not going to really show all that much, but I didn't want it to be this bright of a ivory color. So, you know, this is going to be up to you whether or not you want to do this. It could be that I'm not going to cover everything with lace. We'll see. As with most of my videos, I'm just going to be kind of winging it, having an idea first, and then seeing if it works or not. A lot of times, if something doesn't work, I'll go back to the drawing board so that you don't have to watch me figure it out for several hours or days, as it may happen. Okay, I'm just gonna distress these and I will be right back. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out swatches of fabric to glue to the surfaces of the distressed file folder pieces. I distressed all of them individually, and I stamped on this one, but I don't think I'm going to use it. So what I'm going to do is, like for this is going to be a pocket on the front. And even if I don't use it, I can use it for something else. But I just cut it bigger than I needed to. And I'm going to just glue it in certain spots, mostly in the center, because I'm going to do a stitch around the edges. Now, if you wanted to just use paper, you would just glue, you know, pieces of decorative paper to each piece. But I'm going to be doing this lace. So I just wanted to show you how I do that. And I've already cut out the one for the back here. And sometimes this is a fine netting. I like the way it looks with the distressed cardstock. But I'm also probably going to put a pocket or maybe some more lace on it, so you can always go back and decorate it more. So for this, I am going to, this is the pocket that's in the back, and it's going to be sealed on the sides. So the whole piece is going to be showing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this really amazing old lace that I have, and I'm going to just cut around it. And I like this edging on here because it's kind of scalloped. So I want that to be at the top. And I don't know if there's a front and a back. It's kind of hard to tell. I think this is the front. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to just cut around and kind of leave it up like this. It's a lot easier to do it this way, to my way of thinking anyway, than to try to cut it exactly the same size, because it'd make me pull my hair out. And then when it's dry, and when I sew around it, if I do that on all the pieces, I can just trim it. I'll just trim the excess, and then I'll have little extras for my snippet rolls, so it's not going to be wasted. So this is going to go up like this. And I might even, you know, tatter the edges so I have a little bit of tattering on the sides here. So I'm just going to show you this one, and you're going to do this for all your pieces, whether it's decorative paper or fabric. And I'm using this glue. This has become one of my favorite glues now. For one thing, it's in this really large container. And it dries quickly, and it dries clear, and it's supposedly pH neutral. So Gluing fabric is a little tricky. It doesn't want to stick right away. So you have to wait. And you can see I'm just kind of doing more of the center here. So I'm going to do that to all the pieces and let them dry. And then, like I said, I will probably go back and sew around the edges to, you know, seal all of the pockets and whatnot. One other thing that you might want to be aware of is, so the back of this flippy type of a journal is a pocket, and I don't want to cover the whole thing with lace. So I'm going to cover the pocket with lace completely, but I'm not going to cover the part that's not going to be showing. So think about that. And so that's what I did here. I just cut out what I needed to before I glue that down. And same for this part here. So this is the pocket. And I'll show you in this really brightly colored sample here. This is a pocket, which is this right here. And it's going to be glued or sewed on both sides to make it a pocket. So I don't need to show anything underneath that. So I'm just going to put a piece of lace where it's going to be showing and not where it's going to. Plus it's going to be too bulky probably to stick anything in there if I do put lace. So those are just some things you can do if you want. Just thought I would let you know. And I will be back with all the pieces glued, and then I'll show you how I will assemble it. Alright, so I glued everything down, and I don't know if you can tell, but I use different types of lace just depending on, I don't know, I just like the contrast. I did 3 of these, and I'm not exactly sure where they're going to go, because this is more of a busy lace. It seems to pair well with the one that's not as busy. This is more of the netting, so I might put that on the front. So this is the front that flips back like this, and I did the netting on the other side as well, because I'm probably going to put a pocket on the side, or maybe even something like this. And then you can see I left lots of overhang from the lace, and after I sew it, I'm either gonna fray it with my hands or I'll just trim it. And this is what the inside looks like, and here's the back. So I will be sewing them down. So what I'm going to do is, because both of these pieces are going to be needing to be sewn, I'm just going to sew both of them together, because this is the pocket for the inside and this is the pocket for the other side. I'm going to actually sew all around everything. I'm going to sew around the edges of each of these pockets as well. And I am also going to sew around this. The part where I attach it here, I don't think I'm going to sew that, because that's something that's going to be used a lot, being flipped back and forth, and sewing it weakens the paper. Whereas if I'm just using it as a decorative stitch, that's not going to weaken it. So I'm probably going to wind up gluing that right there when we attach everything. So I don't know if I'm going to use black thread or white thread. I'm kind of tending towards white thread. I usually like to use black thread, but I'm kind of wanting to have everything kind of monochromatic like this. So I will be back when I sew them all together. One other thing before I sew everything together that I wanted to point out is places where I won't be sewing, like right here. I'm not going to be sewing that because I don't need to. I'm only going to be sewing the sides. I am going to trim this here. I don't need that extra fabric, it's going to get in the way. So I will trim some of it before I sew. And like I said, I will be using these wonderful pieces for a snippet roll. The other part that I trimmed was at the very bottom where the gusset is, where it's going to attach, because I'm going to be gluing that. So I don't need the extra lace on that either. And I think that's all I needed to show you. Yeah, and down here, I won't, this is the back pocket, so I'm going to trim it down here because, actually, you know what I think I'm going to do? Because this is separate, I'm going to just sew around the whole thing. Oh, no, I'm not going to do that either because I'm going to be sewing it like this. I'm going to be sewing these two pieces together. I kind of want to sew it. I want there to be sewing all around the edges, so I might just do the bottom and the top, and then when I sew the front and the back together, you'll see that as well. So just kind of think about that. I mean, you can trim it if you want to beforehand, but those are just some things I thought about before I sewed it all up. All right, so I've sewed a few things together, but one thing you might want to think about before you put the back pocket on is gluing down the 1/4 inch piece first and letting it dry before you glue it down here, before you glue down the pocket. And that is the front. This is the front part of this booklet, which has this gusset for you to add your journal, and then another 1/4 inch piece to glue down and hold it in place. So if you don't do that, it's not a big deal. It's just going to show. It's going to show like this, and then if you needed to, you could cover it up with something, you know, another piece of lace or something. But it just kind of gives it more of a, it's going to stay, I think, better if you glue it first down like this and then put this on top of it. That's what I did on this one. This is the front right here. And I had glued it down before I put the back pocket on. So just something to think about. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to just be putting a thin layer of glue on here. And there's, you know, this added lace on this, so I just have to make sure that it's not going to be oozing out. So I'm just going to make sure there's not too much glue inside of the gusset. I don't want it sticking to itself. I'll show you in just a sec. I know I can't really show you what I'm doing right now because glue's getting everywhere. So I'm going to glue that down too. Let's see, this goes like this. That's a little tricky. You just have to make sure you line it up so that it's only going to be sticking to that 1/4 inch piece that you scored. And I'm going to double check to make sure it's lined up. It's going to be a little hard for it to get sticky on there. I think what I'm going to do is lay it down like this, because you can't see it. It's a little, like I said, it's a little tricky. You want to make sure that it doesn't go over and glue down the gusset. And you got to keep your finger on there just to make sure it stays until it starts sticking. Because you want that to, you know, be a nice flap for it to move, and also so you have that gusset to put your little signatures in to make your book. And I mean, you could hot glue it, but that's gonna it's just gonna be bulky and ugly, I think. So I think it's on there good. I'm just gonna let it sit. And then I could, once I put the back pocket on there, I could reinforce it, which I will, with glue again to ensure that it stays in place. But it is a little tricky getting it on there just so, because you just have that 1/4 inch. You can't really make a mistake when you're lining it up, otherwise it's not going to work as a semi book cover. Alright, so I glued this part here, like you saw me do, the 1/4 inch, and then I glued the back pocket just right here, because I'm going to be sewing this. I don't really like gumming up my needle, so that's why whenever I glue everything, I glue it knowing where I'm going to be sewing, so I don't ruin my sewing machine. So I did that because it's easier to glue it now before I sew it, as opposed to when I sew it, then I'd have to kind of scooch in there and glue it down, because this part is not being sewn for reasons I explained earlier. And this is the back pocket. So I hope this isn't confusing, but this is the cover of the little journal. And this is the pocket, which I'm going to sew all the way around just on these 3 sides. And that's also going to catch the pocket in the back. So I'm going to go do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, I really love the way it came out. It's super cute. I love this look. Takes a little bit of extra time, but I really love the way it came out. And it worked for me to sew the front and the back together. I'm going to trim it because I don't like this particular lace. It's really beautiful. It's a stretchy lace though, so I can't really rip it like I can the other one, which is a natural. This is a really old lace, so I could literally just do this and make it look a little bit more torn. This is some lace that my friend Sue gave to me. Thank you, Sue. So I'm going to trim this, and again, I will be using it for snippets. I might even make some little snippets for this particular piece. I'm not sure. I think, let's see here. I'm trying to just get the one underneath. I'm going to trim it really pretty close to also, I was thinking while I was sewing that if you've never sewed paper to lace or fabric, and you're wondering what length I use on my machine, I use one, it's almost a gathering stitch. It's a pretty large stitch. I didn't start out that way. This one's a little bit smaller, and then I changed it It's like I said, it's not a gathering stitch. It's like a 4 on my sewing machine. I know everybody has different sewing machines. But that's kind of what I like to do because, you know, paper can get torn if you do a really tiny stitch over a period, you know, over if you're gonna keep these for a while. It kind of tears down the cardboard. It makes it a little bit weaker. Yeah, I really like this. I love this look. It's kind of similar to a thing that I made. I can't even remember when I made it, but I'll leave a link down below. I have I still have the samples here. Kind of like what I did here when I covered these with lace. Not so much this one, but this one covered it with lace and really beautiful vintage fabric. And it's kind of the same idea. It was inspired by this woman who I don't think she posts anymore, but I believe she's from Norway or some Scandinavian country. Anyway, I love her stuff. So it's kind of inspired by that. And so we'll just keep cutting away here. I'm not going to cut the old one because I like that frayed look. Just the stretchy one here, which will be good for snippets. I might even make little, I don't even know what I'm going to call them, but little rosettes or something with these little snippets. You know, where you just take a bunch of scraps and you just kind of bundle them together and then sew it down, which looks really cool, I think. So I might do something like that on here if it looks good. So for the, let me just turn this a little bit more. So I have little pieces like this, which I love, sticking out. And because it's kind of fragile, it tears pretty easily. So I'm not going to pull it here. I'm going to hold it and just kind of rip little pieces off, because I don't want to rip the cardstock or, you know, rip it out of the stitches that I just did. And some of it was already like this when I started. Like this was a nicely torn piece here. So I just kept that on there. This one is cut, so I don't like the way that it looks so perfect there. And also, if you haven't already, I've told you about a new class that I'm going to be starting, and it's for those of you who want to take your hobby and make money at it. You know, by starting a small business or maybe even a bigger business. Just starting. It's going to be a 101 course on turning your hobby into a business. So the waitlist link is down below. I'm not going to have the waitlist up for much longer because I'm going to start getting into the launch part of it, and I need a nice group of people to start me on that. And I'm going to kind of keep it a lower number of people. So if you want to be in on it, then go ahead and sign up below. There's no obligation. Okay, how cute is that? I love it. So now I'm going to try to figure out what I'm going to do to decorate it. Okay, so I've been playing around with some accessories to put on the book, and two things, well, one thing for sure that I know I want to do is MJ and the gal from A Trace of Sparkle did the little button closures, one on either side with to tie it. So I wanted to do that for sure. And I remembered I had these Stampin' Up! Brads that I've had for way too long. They're blank, but then you can add a little dome on top with something underneath, but these are so old that they don't even stick anymore. So what I thought it would be nice is to add old buttons. And I already did one, so I'm going to show you what I did in case you have anything like this. I also have these old brads, so if you have any brads that you have in your stash, you could do this. So this is what it looks like, and it matches it matches the theme here. And I'm using, I really love buttons that already have thread on them. So that's kind of what my impetus was for doing this. So let's see if I can find one I like here. That one's kind of neat. So, and the thing is because there's thread on them, they don't sit well. They kind of teeter-totter. So what I did was, let's see if this one's going to be better. I added a little bit of paper underneath it, and then a little bit of lace, and I used the glossy accents. I cleaned this with rubbing alcohol first so it would stick properly. You could even sand it a little bit if you wanted to. Let's see if this one will work. That might be kind of cute. So I took a little bit of text from this old piece of paper. It's French. And I'm going to glue it down, but then I'm going to tear it off. Just because it makes it look old. Plus it gives it something to stick to the piece that I have. I'm just doing a little bit. It dries pretty fast. Because honestly, I tried doing this with these little domes first. And they're so old. They're warped and they don't stick at all. And I mean, you could even do something like this if you have, this. And then just kind of just tear it off a little bit. Well, it worked better the first time. I think it's because I had that little sticky thing on there. And now I'm going to take a little bit of this lace. And if you don't have these brads, you could use a button. And sew it on there. So I'm going to, let's see here. I'm going to get another piece and tear it a little bit better. You don't need a lot. This is so tiny. It's about a ½ an inch in width and circumference. I'm going to glue down some of the lace. I'm putting kind of a lot of glue on there because it's like a resin, semi type of a resin, it will kind of hold the button in place too. Kind of cradle it, you know what I mean? And I'm gonna put some glue down again. Oops. And then I'll just let them sit and dry. this. And one's going to go on the top and one's going to go like in the center. And then I'll have some sari silk or something to wrap around, because I want to make like a nice size journal inside of there. A little bit bigger than what I did for the really colorful one. And I'm going to be using some papers that were sent to me from this very sweet lady, Odette. And I'll show you what they look like. It's something I've never done, but I've seen other people do it, where they coffee dye paper, or let me put some more lace on here, or file folders, and then they put a stencil on top, and it leaves that really pretty stencil on there. So that is the kind of paper she sent me, and also some other neat things. So those will be pages, signatures in this little journal that I'm going to be making. And then the second thing I wanted to show you, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to use it, but I'm not real sure. We'll see. But I thought it'd be fun to make anyway. Is just one of these little flowers. So these are literally all the scraps that came off of the trim. So I'm going to just squish them all together, and I already have my needle and thread, and I'm going to sew them in the center and then put a button in there. And it makes this funky, little floret that I love using in my things. And don't think about it too much. Don't try to make it look perfect. Just kind of bunch them all together and then start sewing in the center. If you start thinking about it too much, it just kind of takes away from the look. Let's use another button. Should probably put these over to the side. Oh boy, okay, this is just, let me put this over here. Get that glue, it just gets all stuck on my fingers. It kind of drives me crazy. And I might put this kind of over on the side here with some more stuff going on, and then those two button things will go here, and then I might put a pocket down here. Not that one, but I still might do some doilies. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that on the top. It might even go, like, I might do something like that, but kind of squished up. You know how I am. Those of you who've been watching me for a while, which I much appreciate. Oh, by the way, you guys, I had such a great response last summer when I gave you a challenge to subscribe to my channel. And it went really well. I reached 10,000 subscribers last August, which was awesome. And now I'm almost to 12,000. And I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool if I could get to 15,000 by the spring of 2021? And I would have a giveaway. And the giveaway would be things like this that I make. They're starting to pile up in my studio. And I will have a really nice giveaway. You know, the last one I did was a really nice giveaway. I gave away a handmade journal, a bundle of vintage things, and some other things. I can't remember everything I gave away, but there's quite a nice little stash of things that I gave away. So if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, and then click the bell icon, and that will show 3 different options for the kind of notifications you get, and click all, because that will show you every Tuesday when I post. I 99% of the time I post Tuesday mornings at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, but sometimes sometimes I can't. And I still do it. I will still post, but it might be a little bit later in the day. So I have that little thing. I have this little thingy here. Might do that. I'm going to just tie this off in the back. If you like this look, I have a really great class. It's my slow stitch snippet. Gosh, what did I call it? It's a little purse. Like I have it right here actually. I have a class on how to make this. It's like a necklace pouch. But there's all kinds of wonderful freeform style of embroidery, and it's a really fun class. So just check out my website down below and you'll see all the classes that I offer. This must have been a cluster that I had bought. I think I got this from eBay, and look at how sweet this little, I think it was a man whose wife didn't sell her stuff anymore. I don't know if she had passed away or what, but he was selling a bunch of things that she had sold apparently from maybe an antique store, and this little sweet tag was on there. Looks like she had sold these for $5. But I kept it because I love it. It looks kind of old, and that would be kind of cute somewhere on here, and then maybe one of these doilies here, underneath here. That's interesting. Well, that might look kind of cute. This would be kind of hidden though. Have to figure that out. So I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do, and then I'll come back and show you, because this takes me forever to do this. This is be very boring if you have to watch me figure out where to place everything and what to put down next. So I will be back. Alright, so it took me a long time to figure out the composition, and like always, I'm not adding some things. I changed my mind like 10,000 times. So I haven't glued everything down. I just wanted to show you the layering process. I love layers, but it's not quick. It's not a quick process. So I thought I would just kind of show you kind of why I did it. First of all, I love adding doilies to the tops. I like that. I like making a flap. And I didn't intend on doing that because I was going to add these little button things that I made, the brads. But I kept playing around with it, and I just realized I didn't want to do that. And so I also like having, this one's kind of more symmetrical than I normally make, even though there is a little bit of, this is kind of asymmetric here. But I actually made another pocket, so that is there, and I'm going to be gluing that down on 3 sides and all of these layers. There are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different types, actually 9 layers of stuff. So when I'm doing this, I kind of think of shapes and lines and how they look. And there's a lot of, I love this shape here where it kind of curves, even though the pocket is straight. It kind of gives like a feminine touch to it. And, you know, the key to me for layering is not adding so much bulk. So like this, for instance, is getting really thick because I have several layers, so I might take one off. But kind of experiment with that. Do thin layers of things and use the prettiest things on the top. It's kind of the same philosophy as doing like a snippet roll. And think about lines, you know, scallops, straight lines, zigzags, and kind of play with those different visuals. So this also, I kept the line of this the same here, except I didn't add all of it. It's a really old piece and I'm kind of hoarding it. It's just a beautiful eyelet trim. And then I have several, here's that little bow that I showed you how to make. And I thought I liked it on its own, but then I kept thinking, oh, I need more, I need more. So I just kept adding layers. There's little bits and pieces of snippets here. And I added buttons to kind of keep this line here. And then this doily goes on top. And so once I put the pamphlet book in there, the little journal, it's going to kind of pop open. So in order for me to keep that from kind of exploding, I made a little clothespin with that cute little tag that I showed you earlier. And that'll add another design element to the piece and keep it together, all together. So I am just going to start gluing everything down, and hopefully I'll remember. I probably will hot glue these things here, like these bigger pieces, and then the tiny delicate pieces I will just use the regular glue. So of course, you know, I always think, oh, this won't be too long. This is probably going to be a really long tutorial, so sorry about that. Even though I didn't show you everything in between, because that really would have taken a long time. And since this is a really tiny piece, you know, compared to regular journals, I kind of kept the embellishments on the dainty side. So I'm going to keep gluing everything down, and I'll bring, when I come back, this will be all done, and then we'll do the inside. Alright guys, we're almost done. I am going to show you the front and the back. It looks really cute. I really, really, really love the way this came out. I love this look. And I don't know if you guys can relate, but I love different styles. Obviously, the one I made before this was super bright and colorful and bohemian. And then I absolutely love this shabby chic kind of monotone creams and ivories too. So, and laces, obviously. So, I wanted to show you the signatures, and I'm going to sew them in with some of the thread left over from my rusty, dyed rusty tutorial. I will leave a link down below. And I also wanted to thank Odette Peters for sending some beautiful papers that she sent to me, like a, I guess you could call it a happy mail. And it's this really pretty stencil dyed. I'm not sure if she used patty pockets, the stains, or because some of them have like a little sparkle to them. And then there's some avocado dyed paper, it looks like. And the cool thing about this size of the journals is that it's only a half a piece of paper. So you don't waste anything. You just cut it in half, and just like this, you just take a piece of paper, find the halfway point and cut it. This is the 8.5 by 11. And then you fold it and you have your signature. Super easy. Way easier than some journals where you have to cut everything to size. So, there's quite a few. 1, 2, I don't know, like, I think I did 8 or 9 sheets. And folded them in half. And it's going to fit right in there. And I am going to use the rusty thread. And all I'm going to do is just poke a hole right here. And line it up with our edges here. And in the gusset, I'm kind of winging it. But it's so tiny that it's sure it's going to be fine. Some of the pages are sticking out, but and then poke it around the same place on this side. That's what you get for not measuring anything, but there we go. Gonna tie it. This is really sturdy thread. I think I used the cotton crochet thread for this when I tied up the pieces that I dyed with the rust, and it turned the thread rusty, which looks really cool. So that's that. Now I'm going to show you the front and the back. Super cute. So isn't that the funnest? It's just, these are so darn fun. I spent way too much time on it though. Oh my god. All day yesterday and all day today. Literally it's nighttime. So look at how cute that is. So I did a little bit extra than when I left off with some more layers because something wasn't jiving with this being the center and then this being up at the top. So I added some crinkled sari silk with some sewn on thread trim, and it seemed to balance everything out. So yeah, there's just all the different layers here. You can see, and then I added this cute little girl. She's looking up. This isn't Tim Holtz. This is from Alpha Stamps. It's the sheet that I showed you. I had just fussy cutted her out. And then it was too white, so I took some of my mustard colored ink and lightly went over it and then around the edges with some of the brown just to antique it a little bit. And so this is the pocket here. And I trimmed around the edges with this really dainty trim. And I added some old, like, crocheted lace on the bottom here. And I didn't wind up using these after all. They won't go to waste. I'll use them on something else. That's just what happens. I always do that. I'm sure you guys do too. And then the back looks like this. This flips up, and to keep this from flipping, the doily from flipping around, I added some weight to it with this little dangle. And so there's pockets back here, here, and then here. It's a little bit more simple. I'd like to make more and then maybe sell them if you guys are interested. It just took me so long to make this one. I kind of want to keep this one but make more similar to this. Now that I have a formula for it and what I know what I'm going to do and place, you know, different laces and stuff. I just did a little collage back here. This is something I've had forever. It's a broken piece of a very, very brittle old lottery card, and I just couldn't throw it out. It's just, I love the graphics, and it works out perfect here. I just glued all that down. And yeah, and then just the insides. There's the pocket here. Very simple. I had to keep everything pretty flat so it would close somewhat. And booklet, so cute. And then another pocket here, and then a pocket up here. So I just wanted to say thank you again to MJ Reyes for the idea. I just love it, and I want to make more. And yeah, that's it. So don't forget to sign up for the wait list down below if you're interested in starting your own business, and check out my online school. You might find something that interests you if you're new to my channel. I teach several different style of unconventional bohemian journals and jewelry and just really funky stuff. So check it out, and I will see you in the next video. And one last thing I forgot, I did make this little clip. I showed it to you earlier, but this really is nice. It just holds the book closed, and it adds another cute element, and it's almost like the little girl is looking up at the angel.